You're good.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, April 20th, and the time is 6:33, and I'd like to call this school committee meeting to order. The first item for to vote on is our consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from April 6th? Any conversation, updates, adjustments? Can I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda from April 6th, 2021.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up is visitors' comments. Am I supposed to read the blurb every time? Does anyone know?
Yes, I think so. Just
Okay. Any citizen wishing to speak before the committee must sign in with the administrative assistant. Prior to the opening of the regular session of the school committee, the visitor will identify themselves by name and address and shall speak for no longer than 3 minutes. See Public School Committee Policy, BEBDG. Obviously, where there's no sign-in, so just announce yourself with your address. Do we have any comments? We don't have very many people on, so it's school vacation week, so it should be all set. Oh, we have one. Oh, it's Jen. I might be Jen Millette. Raise your hand. Jen, is that you?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, we can't see you, but we have you on the screen now. Okay.
has she been
Yep, she's promoted.
Okay.
Are you just not doing video, Jen? Oh, there you are.
No. Whatever. I didn't have a direct link, so I used what was on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Well, it looks like there's no visitors' comments. Next is the check-in with the GEA president, Cheryl Danette. Cheryl, you're on mute if you're trying to talk to us. Okay. All right, I guess we'll just move on. Marcus is not on. Next up is continuing business, reopening planning process and safety committee update.
okay? So, great news. We had no reported cases of students or staff this past week, so that was pretty exciting. The safety committee will be meeting next week. We didn't need to meet because we had no issues or information that we needed to discuss, which was a good thing.
Excellent.
Update on the reopening, we have 9, 10, and 11, 12 returning on the 26th.
Excellent. Cheryl, I see Cheryl now. Cheryl, do you have anything just to update us on how everything's going?
I think she's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like she might be frozen. She must be having connections.
Yeah, she told me that she couldn't hear anything, so she must be having some internet issues.
Okay. I think we're on the same one, and I've been having problems all day. I'm good right now, though. I probably should touch wood so that I don't have issues.
Mine kept dropping.
Oh, one of those days, I guess.
Yes.
I don't see Allie on, but do we have anything for a spring sports update? We'll
Nope.
just keep that going. Just leave it on there. Next, superintendent search. We just need to do the contract or negotiate the contract, right? But everyone well, we can say that we've offered the position to Mr. Stephen Sullivan, who is also the Granby Junior Senior High School principal. We're thrilled to death with that, so we look forward to working out the contract with him.
And I believe that would be at the next school committee meeting, not this one. I don't think he was, was informed that to be prepared.
Okay, so I wasn't sure why we had executive session on for today. I couldn't remember. So, okay. So I wasn't sure if it was that one or not. So we'll keep that on for the next one. But we probably don't need to have superintendent search on there any longer. It will just be an item that will be taken care of in our executive session.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Next, new business is the school year 2021-2022 calendar.
Yep, so the calendar was developed. It was shared with the GEA, got approval from the GEA. So now it is in front of you for approval for next year.
Okay, I just want to look at it again. Oh, share drive. Okay, so first day of school is August 30th, which is a Monday, and that is the Monday that's before Labor Day.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And
So
then
you will see that November 3rd, which is the Friday before Labor Day, there is no school.
okay. And I don't see on here any, oh, there it is. Okay, I was looking at the wrong spot. Perfect. So we've got parents' night for both schools. And that's still a joint thing, right? Because we don't do the open house in the spring anymore. It's just,
Yep.
And this is open to the students, right? It's not just for parents.
I believe so, yes. The students come and walk the school and introduce their parents.
Okay. Half day. And the conferences in October are only for East Meadow.
Yeah, so we separated them this year because East Meadow follows a 3-time-a-year report card, and the high school follows a 4 quarters. So we do tri-semesters for elementary. So that's why we have the October conferences.
Right. So we're pushing the high school ones back because why? They wouldn't be able to line up at the same time?
Right, but they felt it was easier to do it in November than it was to do it in October.
Okay.
We moved elementary back, so that they're, rather than having it after, Cheryl's nodding her head, rather than having it after, giving an opportunity to let parents know where their children are before they're getting a report card, so it's like before report cards come out. Cheryl, can you confirm that?
Sure. Our first report cards go out on like the beginning of December. So it's kind of halfway between the start of the year and when we put out our report cards. Yeah.
Okay. And then graduation is not subject to snow days and cancellations, right? June 11th is graduation regardless.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, no, I think that.
Because I
those
see 3
dots-
stars, but I don't see where the 3 stars line up. So I just wanted to make sure. And I do have a question about the snow days and cancellations.
Oh, it's underneath the 3 stars. It's letting you know, subject to snow days and cancellations, which is last day of school, June 13th.
No, I know, but usually like the legend is like, I don't see, it's just a formatting error. That's all. Or not an error, just my personal preference for formatting.
Oh, okay.
But on that for the snow days and cancellations. So it's kind of a weird thing, I think, because we had been told that 2019, 2020 was the last time we could do blizzard bags because that pilot was over and
Yeah.
remote school wasn't an option. Then
Yeah.
COVID hit and remote school was the only way to do school. And it's become the norm. I mean, this past year with other districts and not just our own some would be declared a snow day and some would be declared a remote day. So if it's a remote day, that would still be a regular day of school. Is that going to be still an option going forward to do a remote day, or is it just strictly a snow day? now?
I don't know that because it's my understanding that remote learning will be taken off the table for FY '22.
Well, that seems a bit odd since we just went through a full year of it to do one day of it and, not 7 months at a time to be able to.
Yeah, I mean, that may change, but I believe for a day to be of learning, remote will not be an option in next school year. And Jill's nodding her head because, yeah, that's what he said. That's what the commissioner is saying. So we may get different guidance. We don't,
It just seems ridiculous to me. It's like not paying, it's completely disregarding the fact that all these schools got up and running for remote learning. I mean, I appreciate having a good old fashioned snow day. I think everybody does, but when there's those multiple ones in a row, it'd be nice to be able to not have to go for so long. I feel like we've been spoiled the past couple of years with having the blizzard bags and knowing when the last day of school was regardless. So
I think though, if it was a remote day, it would mean that every child needs to log in. And if they're not taking their Chromebooks back and forth to home, then that would be hard for them to be able to log in on a snow day. That's all I can think would be hard.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens because we don't get 100% attendance all day, every day for a regular school day. So you can't demand it on an off day. So personal thoughts. All right, anything else? Oh, do we need to vote on this then?
Yes.
Can I have a motion? Oh, any discussion or anything? It seems pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion to approve the school year 2021 to 2022 calendar.
I'll
I'll
second.
Perfect. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. Okay, Carol, superintendent's report.
I don't have anything for you today.
Okay, Adam?
Yeah, so real quick, I did put some year-to-date reports into the folder just for everyone's reference and information. We can review those now or talk about them. I will say we just got today notice from the state or from the federal government that they will be extending free meals for the entire school year next year, which is kind of surprising. They had originally extended it through September 30th. Most of us were under the assumption they'd probably extend it at least through the end of the calendar year next year until at least December 31st. But then there was notice that came out today that they're extending it for the entire school year next year, which is really good. So there'll be more information on that, but we just got that notice today.
So I do have a question. Our contract, that was up this year, or is it?
No, so remember we voted and decided to take advantage of the state. They allowed school districts that were in the process of negotiating a new contract to get that waiver to extend their current contract by a year. So we decided to do that, and then we extended our current contract for one more year with Chartwell. So our Chartwell's contract will go through the end of next school year. so June 30th of
2022. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. I just wanted to
that-
make sure.
That'll
Yeah.
show up for bid sometime in the fall then, probably.
Yeah, the fall, probably closer to the first of the year, springtime of next year, but yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So do you want to go through these then, or?
Sure. Really.
You want
I
to
don't know if
share,
you
you
got-
want to share your screen?
Yeah, I can share my screen. Yep, I can certainly do that. So actually, we'll do the first one that I have. I'll do the school lunch one. So it's just just a year to date. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is just a year to date through, well, actually, this is just for March, for the month of March. So those numbers just came in. For school lunch, you can see we did 16,903 meals, almost 17,000 meals. Our reimbursement was the most it's been all year. Obviously, it's the most meals we've done all year. And our invoice, what we paid at Chartwell's was also the most. However, now we're purchasing more food. The staff are working longer hours, so those costs are going to increase. So overall, we had a net profit of $8,648.38 for the
What's
month
our-
of March.
What's our total profit for the year at?
Give me 1 second. I want to say it's up around, I'm not even going to say it. Let me just give me a second so I can sign in.
Sure.
One second, I'm just signing remotely into my office computer. All right, so for the year, we have done just over 91,000 meals, so 91,010 meals, and our net profit so far is just over $48,000, so $48,058 for the year. So over 91,000 meals that's pretty extraordinary, and we say it every time that Ken and his staff have done an excellent job getting the meals out to our families through all of this, and it's actually nice to know already this early on that we'll be able to continue that for next year. So we'll start working with Ken and his team. I'd say probably early summer to see what that will look like next year, as we're going to have kids in school. I'm assuming for all the whole year. So we'll work those details out over the summer, but it is good to know early on that we will have that benefit next year as well.
That was my question, because I heard, obviously, since kids have been back in school, that the lunch, the numbers have gotten down for April for like meal pickup. And I'm going to assume that trend will carry if everyone's in school. So are we figuring that as well?
We figuring what, that the meals will go down, pickup meals, like
Yeah,
curbside
yes.
meals?
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we assumed that anyway, that once we got more kids into the building, that we would see a decrease in meal pickup. But yeah, that's a safe assumption for the next couple of months, yes.
Do you have an idea of how it's been since the kids have been back in school? At least East Meadow's been full in for a little bit now, as far as lunches go. Is it
So as
increased?
far as total lunches, I mean, in total lunches, we're doing around the same, right? You know, we're doing more in-school lunches than we're doing pickups, but the overall amount is around the same amount of lunches that we're doing.
Right, that's great.
And then that profit is ours, right?
Correct. Yep, that profit goes into our school lunch revolving account. Yep,
Well, that's helpful. That's good.
it is.
All right. Any other questions on the lunch? Okay, next one.
Yeah. You guys see this one?
Yep.
Okay, this is just our general fund, our operating budget through the month of March. Again, broken down by salary, supplies and service, and then transportation. We are going to have some, and we've talked about this, some transportation savings for this year, obviously, because we weren't in school for the full year. We will have some, I think we'll have some surplus in our operating budget, with facilities and maintenance costs, obviously not those expenses being down this year because the schools weren't open full time, but the savings that we do realize will have to be reallocated for, COVID costs that were above and beyond, what we got for grant revenue. We'll get into all those details probably the next month or so. We'll start getting into some deep details with those and seeing what the savings are and where we have to move those savings around, that will come to you guys for vote. So I'm not going to get into all that now, but this is where we are through the month of March for operating budget.
Excellent.
Questions on that? Hope not, because it's gone. Last one. The last one's our COVID grant, grant money. Again, through the month of March, this is what we've spent, and the balances on those grants. This top one right here. So this one, this was some state allocated funding. It was a one-time. They separated it to two payments, but it was a one-time allotment from the state of Massachusetts, and we received it in two separate payments. The rest of these were grants that came from the federal stimulus and CARES Act.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the second COVID relief,
Yeah.
how many years do we have that one, or is that supposed to, when's the end date?
The end date is June 30th. All these will be June 30th. So you're probably looking at this balance here. Still have a couple months to use that, but we will use that balance.
Okay.
Yep, certainly. We do have, as everyone knows, there's two more ESSER grants out there. One that we will start the application process soon for. That's ESSER 2. That was it's about $292,000 we were allocated. That will go from July 1 2021 through September 30th, 2023, I believe. And at least 20% of that allocation needs to be spent on, targeted instructional areas lost during COVID. So 20% of that amount has to be spent on summer school, after school tutoring, stuff like that.
Another question.
Yeah.
So is that the minimum 20%? Are we allowed to spend more than that, or is it?
Yes,
not?
that's the minimum. No,
That's the
that is the minimum
Okay.
20%. Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And then the ESSER 3, which was just passed with this third round of stimulus. I believe our projected allocation around $629,000. Some more details are coming out about that as to when we can apply, the start date. Those should be also available for July 1st, but that is going to run through September of 2024, I believe. I will clarify those dates, but I believe that one is over 3 years. And again, I'll stress, the guidance for those is that we can essentially use those for whatever we want. However, we should be using that money to, equip our schools and get our schools up to compliance with HVAC and those type of services due to the pandemic, along with using that money for summer school, after school, before school tutoring, all that. So the uses of that money are pretty pretty broad, but we should be strategic in how we're using them. So as more information comes about with the ESSER 2 and the ESSER 3 allocations, I'll certainly keep you guys up to date.
So just a comment, and I don't know, Carol, I don't know what you're hearing too, but it sounds like in terms of like the instructional supports for all students, it sounds like that there's a push, maybe not even just this year kind of summer for all students, but potentially like years to kind of come, or that type of thing where, you're not just talking about your typical extended school year services for your students with special education needs, but, potentially all students that have been impacted, which is everyone, by the pandemic. So, that certainly would, if the state's encouraging something like that, that's certainly something that would take quite a bit of funding, when you're talking about potentially creating something that would support, all students learning in some way, shape, or form, kind of with some type of continuum, throughout the summer. And I'm not sure what Granby's looking at or what that might look like, but it seems to be kind of percolating out there.
So last summer, I reached out to all teachers and asked them to highlight any students that they felt would benefit from summer learning. And I sent out information to every student that was presented, and many took advantage of, we were offering tutoring over the summer, but many had been just done, with remote. So not as many took advantage of it because they just couldn't bear, to be online, This year we are looking at in person. We've already started our extended school year, and we're going to be meeting with the principals, to look at that. I also know that, and I sent it out to both principals to think about it. I know the Hadley is hosting a summer program for high school that I shared with Stephen and Allie. And I know Megan is going to be talking to Bill to find out what types of programs we may offer at East Meadow. So, yeah, it's definitely this summer and next it's going to be, we talked also as a leadership about maybe doing something in August, like a accelerated week or something, before kids come back, as an option if, kids didn't want to come, the month of July, maybe a like little boot camp catch up in August. So yeah, we're definitely, throwing ideas around.
So I'm all done, but I did just look in the ESSER 3, the 629,000-ish, it does go through September 30th of 2024. So that's
Oh, wow.
that's a long time for us to, spend or allocate and spend that money. It's not just, it shouldn't be used just for a one-time allocation unless it's, a major improvement that we're making, but it does go through September 30th, 2024.
So my thing is, if they are doing a summer program, and if that is 2 years, that will help us go through the summer of those 2 years. So I agree. I don't think we should be spending it like a one-time thing, especially if we're doing something that's related to the COVID. I would rather spend that money on that.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yep. And again, that's again, the guidance from DESE is essentially this can be used for, really broad expenses. However, it shouldn't be used for really broad expenses. So just something to keep in the back of our mind as we're still kind of navigating our way through the FY22 budget. And I'll just touch on that real quick. Obviously, we sent the questions, the finance committee had sent us questions last week, 10 days ago. We responded to those questions and sent them back to them today. I'll be honest, Jen, I'm not sure if we are the ones scheduling another meeting or they're going to review those questions and see. So I'm not sure what the next steps are, honestly, but they do have answers to those questions. And I guess we'll await their follow-up.
Yeah, well, the way I perceived it being left was that they were going to come to us after they had time to review the stuff and reach out, but I can certainly send another email. It seemed like they wanted that to be generated from the CRIS level to organize. So, I'll send a follow-up and just see where we're at and when our next meeting is, because really, I know we don't have to worry about the May 1st deadline, but I don't want to wait until June to be trying to figure this out. Like, it needs to be squared away before town meeting, which is June 4th or 5th or something. It's a Saturday.
Yeah, June 5th. Yeah, so I'll touch on that real quick. I was always under the impression that we had to have something in front of school committee by May 1st, but that's not the case, which kind of helps us in this situation. However, we only do after tonight. We only have 2 more school committee meetings, I believe, before town meeting. And we also have to have a public hearing somewhere in that time frame as well. So obviously it's on everyone's radar. Just make sure that we're doing our due diligence and following up and seeing if they need anything from us. But again, they have the answers to those questions and we'll wait to hear from them.
Okay, sounds good.
Other than that, I am good. Thank you.
Jen, CES?
We don't have a meeting this month.
Okay.
It's April, right?
Yeah, April. Yep. Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Because we have just flew through that agenda.
That's nice.
So if not, then I will do the vote to enter into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Part A3, to discuss strategy with regard to collective bargaining, as doing so in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will not return to open session. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Ms. Pelletier,
Aye.
Ms. Millette,
Aye.
Ms. Parent,
Aye.
Ms. Bartos.
Aye.